Hi, this is Marina J, helping you flourish after narcissistic abuse. Because it's one thing to get through narcissistic abuse, it's another set of skills that we need to flourish afterwards. So, why are people that have had narc abuse, why are you more prone to overgiving and under receiving in relationships? So I've just done 3 free masterclasses on exactly this. This today is like a little snapshot of what I've just done. So if you want access to that, the link is below. Those classes will be up until the 19th of June. So you will get free access. I will take you through a beautiful subconscious process to actually make these healings happen that I'm going to talk about with you right now, because it's something that I've seen a lot of, where you've had the narc abuse, you are no longer with the narcissist, or you're in the process of leaving, but you have a lot of these relationships where somewhere in you there is a belief that you have to do to be loved. The narcissist taught you that you have to do to be loved. They kept dangling the carrot, asking you to overgive and overdo and be useful and help them and give to them and fix them in all the ways. And so they've transferred now this template of a relationship where, oh, it's conditional. Love is conditional on me behaving a certain way. Love is conditional on me being useful, on being good, on having no needs, on having no real desires, on having very little requirement of you. And so that is the conditional love component that you may have really learned from the narcissist, that love is conditional on you behaving a certain way. And particularly because dealing with a narcissist, they're like a bottomless pit. So no matter how much you pour into them, it's never enough. It's never good enough. It'll never quench them, right? It's relentless. So you overgive to ensure love and under receive to stay safe. And this pattern is one of the key patterns I see that stops people from flourishing after narcissistic abuse and keeps us from having the kinds of relationships that are going to be so loving and so nurturing and so supportive that they propel us forwards. It's very difficult to move through life on your own. Progress is just slower, right? It's faster when we get support. We know this, right? As soon as we take a class, as soon as we take a course, as soon as we see somebody for sessions, as soon as we have a great friend by our side, somebody that loves us, we move much quicker, right? Because we're actually getting support. We are not meant to be on separate islands doing it all on our own, right? The narcissist would have you believe that. That is not a real relationship. A real relationship is where you don't have to do to be loved. To be loved, you can completely receive just for being you. But because you have been, and you may have been, programmed and conditioned by the narcissist to overgive and to not receive, this creates a similar dynamic in every relationship, not just a relationship with a narcissist. And so you continue having these relationships where it's all about them, but not about you. And it's very hard then to flourish after narc abuse. So what needs to happen is you need to heal your capacity to receive and getting to the root of the urge to overgive, because at the core of overgiving is the fear of not being loved unless you overgive, which is what sets you up for the narcissist, because that's what the narcissist wants, right? But it also sets you up for relationships that are one-sided, where it's all about them, but not about you. So you give 80% in relationships and only receive 20% love and support back. Always the supporter, but never the supported. This is what I call the narcissistic template, right? Which is where we take that template that we learned and then we reapply it to all the other relationships because it just feels normal for us, because that's where we've been. That's apparently what relationships are, right? And so when we overgive and underreceive, we get used to really not knowing that we don't have to do that anymore. There becomes a big question mark. Can I just be in a relationship and be loved for being me? Do I need to be more than I am? Do I need to be on my A game? What happens when I have needs? What happens when I have desires? If I have too many and too much, will it drive a good person away? I don't know. And so we continue overgiving because it's less stressful on the body than actually just giving when we want to give, just honoring our natural energy levels. And so what usually happens is a lot of people that have had narc abuse, they get through it and then they burn out, right? Because they have relationships that are hard work, right? Where you are doing more than your half of the relationship and you're accepting people who are doing less than their half. So you're loyal, you care, you give, you support, you help, you love, all the stuff that actually you want to do naturally, but you don't get it back. And for you, it's much more comfortable for you to give 110%, even though it's exhausting to always give, 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 give. It's still less strain on your body than if you didn't overgive. Because if you didn't overgive, your nervous system might start to really kind of like pep up and get scared, because the fear is, if I stop overgiving, will you leave me? Will you abandon me? Are you going to still like me if I just give what I think I want to give today? Are you going to love me if I just am what I want to be today? Like, I have edges. Maybe I'm not always going to be reasonable. Maybe I'm not always going to be agreeable. Maybe I'm going to cry today. But if I cry too much, if I am just going to do what I want to do too much, I know deep down it's not going to hurt you. I'm not doing any hurtful behavior. In fact, it's normal human behavior. But am I going to drive you away? Are you going to reject me? Right? Are you no longer going to want to be in my world? Will I lose you? So we start to overgive in order to keep people with us, to keep them in our world, because the fear is that possible if I don't, if I were to stop? And the truth is, you're more likely to lose people when you do that, but you're only going to lose the wrong people. You're only going to lose the ones that didn't want to do their half of the relationship in the first place. They wanted you to do all of it, all of the relationship, absolutely everything. They wanted you doing what actually they need to be doing. That could be anything from their part of a job to their responsibilities in the home, to their responsibilities as a client, right? It could be any and all of that. And so noticing for you that if you're working hard to be loved, if you're pedaling hard for your clients, if you have to be the giver in your mind, if you're like, well, I have to give because this is my transaction. This is how I maintain relationships, that they're not relationships. And you deserve to know that you deserve to be loved completely and utterly without having to do a thing. Because one of the core wounds of narcissistic abuse is that you weren't loved unconditionally, right? Deep down, there might be a belief swirling around in there that you have to work hard for love, which at its core is, I'm unlovable because I'm really unlovable unless I do these things, unless I become this person, unless I'm this person that is giving and doing and gives you energy and basically is your supply. I'm not used to being in relationships unless I'm the supply. But good people won't need that from you. Good people won't require that from you. They don't need you to do and be and have and be on your A game. They're going to love you when you're on your Z game. They're going to love you when you don't have anything to give. They're going to love you when you do something wrong. They're going to love you when you mess up. They're going to love you when you have low energy and you can't pull it out the bag, because they're not in a relationship with you for you to feed them, for you to prop them up. They're not in that. They're in a relationship with you because they love you just the way you are. So there can be a deep sense of shame that comes with recognizing that you weren't loved unconditionally in this narcissistic relationship, that it came with conditions, that you had to be a certain way, otherwise you'd be rejected. And so there might be a feeling in you, which is, there must be something wrong with me because of what they did to me. They chose me, right? That might be you, you were the child, you were the partner, you were a team member, and perhaps you felt that somewhere in you, you elicited that response because there's something in you that is horrible. No, that's just what the narcissist wanted you to feel. Couldn't be further from the truth. They would do that to whomever was in your place. If you weren't the child, they would have done it to the child that took your place. It's not about you and your soul. It would have been about any soul that would have been in front of them. Why? Because they don't know how to love. And narcissists typically will do this to one or a small group of people. They won't do it to everybody, right? And we all know why. And if you don't, that's another video for another time, right? Otherwise, this is going to be a massive video. I know me, right? I'll end up being here for half an hour, and I know that time is precious. So with all of this, the narc would have done it to whomever, and you weren't loved in the way that you should have been. And I am sorry for that. But just know that they would have done this to whichever soul chose to incarnate in your place instead, because they are not able to love. They need something to pour their hate and their annoyance and their abuse into. And so if it wasn't you, it was going to be somebody else. And you may never have the visual proof of that, but just know deep down it could have been anybody there, and that's what would have happened. And the narcissist has their lessons, whether they learn it or not, entirely up to them. But for you now, it's understanding the reasons why you overgive, so you're no longer compelled to do it. You're no longer doing it unconsciously in relationships, which will set you up for a lifetime of relationships where it's all about them, but not about you. You deserve it to be about you. So any healing you can give yourself around being unlovable is key. And I have these 3 masterclasses available on the replay right now. They're free. You can join, and they will take you through a number of beautiful steps for you to really undo the damaging effects that narcissistic abuse has had on you, so you can receive love and support without killing yourself for it, overgiving, overdoing, straining, all those things. All right, this is Marina J. Thank you so much for listening. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. I don't put videos out every week. I kind of just do them when I feel I've got a download to share with you. If you subscribe, you'll be the first to know. And you also support my channel so I can do more. All my love. See you next time.